in their own end and could not get it out.
LaFleur drags him down. Nothing called, and Michigan still scrambling. It's a goal.
Wait, rewind that.
Nothing called, and Michigan still scrambling.
What did he just do? That right there? That was Michigan's Mike Legg scoring the game-tying goal 7 minutes and 6 seconds into the second period against the Minnesota Gophers in the NCAA Regional Final. The crowd erupted, but the broadcasters were speechless. Nobody had ever seen anything like it because, well, no one had ever dared to try it in a real game. That one goal flipped the momentum. Michigan stormed back, won the game, and eventually captured the national championship. But somehow, even that wasn't the biggest story of the tournament. Because who even is Mike Legg, and how did he just pull off the most outrageous goal in history and change hockey forever? This is Mike Legg. He grew up in London, Ontario, and he played juniors for the WOHL local London Nationals. Through 2 years with the program, he put up 164 points in 97 games, and that was good enough to grab the attention of scouts south of the border. This led to his eventual selection by the New Jersey Devils in the 11th round of the 1993 NHL Draft and his eventual scholarship to the University of Michigan. Now, getting drafted to the NHL is an accomplishment, but getting drafted in the 11th round isn't exactly a straight shot to the big leagues. So Legg went the college route, and he kept working. He started out as more of a depth guy, putting up 23 points as a freshman. By his sophomore season, he had carved out a bigger role and finished with 37 points in 39 games, just shy of a point per game. And then heading into his junior season, he was finally a reliable contributor on a team that didn't just have big goals, it had national title expectations. That Michigan team, they were coached by the legendary Red Berenson, a former NHL center, Jack Adams Award winner, and Stanley Cup champion. Red had been running the show at Michigan since 1984, and by this point, he built a powerhouse. Michigan rolled into the tournament with a 34-7-2 record, leading the CCHA and averaging over 5.5 goals every game. And this roster, it came with plenty of future NHL talent like Brendan Morrison, John Madden, Bill Muckalt, Jason Botterill, Warren Lunning, and Marty Turco. But March 24th, 1996, it would be a true test for this team. They were facing the Minnesota Golden Gophers, one of the most storied programs in all of college hockey. And this team, it was stacked too. Brian Bonin had a huge year. He'd gone to win the Hobey Baker Award that season after putting up 81 points. Casey Hankinson made it to the NHL. Eric Rasmussen was a future first-round pick. Reggie Burge, he was a future NHL draft pick. And with Steve DeBus near the top of college hockey in goals against average, this team was definitely built to go toe-to-toe with anyone, including Michigan. And in front of the over 6,000 fans at Munn Ice Arena that night, the Gophers, they found themselves leading the Wolverines 2-1 early in the second period. But with 7 minutes and 6 seconds left in the frame, Minnesota failed to clear the puck out of the zone while killing a penalty. That puck, it ended up behind the net and on the stick of Mike Legg. He looks at his options, but after seeing nothing in front, he took matters into his own hands. He scooped the puck onto his blade, cradled it like a lacrosse stick, and in one smooth motion, tucked it top shelf, and no one knew what had just happened.
It's a goal. Michigan finally somehow got it in the net to tie the game.
Watch this.
Oh, he just reaches around and stuffs it in the top.
Put it in.
Unbelievable.
That was an unbelievable goal by Mike Legg.
This was unlike any goal anyone had ever seen in any hockey game ever. The announcers had no idea what they just saw, and even when they saw the replay, they were still confused. That goal tied the game 2-2 and completely flipped the momentum. Michigan scored again minutes later, and though Minnesota pushed back, the Wolverines found the winner late in the third. Final score, 4-3 Michigan. They booked their ticket to the Frozen Four, and the rest was history. Michigan beat Colorado College 3-2 in overtime to capture the program's 8th NCAA title. But even with all that going on, still, everyone was talking about Mike Legg. That one goal, 10 seconds of pure creativity, had taken on a life of its own. Not just because it was flashy, but because it had never been done before. Not in college, not in the NHL, not anywhere. And just like that, Mike Legg became a hockey legend. Despite the spotlight and the national title, Mike Legg never made it to the NHL. He was originally drafted by the Devils in 1993, but he never cracked their roster. He spent a few years bouncing around the minors, playing in the AHL, ECHL, and even overseas, but that was just as far as it went. Instead, Legg became known for one thing: the goal. Funny enough, it wasn't even his move. He learned it from a former London Nationals teammate, Bill Armstrong, who used to mess around with the flick behind the net at practice. Legg picked it up, practiced it constantly, and eventually started using it in warm-ups, never really thinking he'd try it in a real game until that night. After that, the move and Legg blew up. It became the defining moment of his short career. He didn't become an NHL star, but he pulled off something no one had ever seen before, and in doing so, he rewrote what was even possible to do on ice. And what started as a bold one-off moment in college hockey, it didn't stay there for long. Over time, the Michigan began popping up in highlight reels around the world, slowly creeping into pro hockey, international play, and eventually the NHL itself. The first major spotlight of the Michigan came in 2011 when Mikael Granlund pulled it off for Finland in the semifinals of the World Championships against Russia.
Oh, look at that one! Michael Granlund, are you kidding? Are you kidding? Oh my goodness, Michael Granlund!
It was the first time many fans had even seen the move executed at that level, and it blew up across Europe. Even after Granlund pulled it off, it still didn't become that popular. In 2018, Aaron Hughlin pulled off the Michigan for Team USA against Canada at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup. And not long after that, Nils Hoglander started making headlines in the Swedish Hockey League, scoring multiple lacrosse-style goals and earning back-to-back Goal of the Year honors. It was tried in the NHL for years, but no one ever had any luck. Goalies were too sharp, defenders were too quick, and no one could quite pull it off under the pressure. Until Andrei Svechnikov. In 2019, on October 29th, Andrei Svechnikov pulled it off against David Rittich of the Flames.
Back of the goal, he stops in a dive, lacrosse move, scores! What a goal!
The first successful Michigan goal in NHL history. And just 2 months later, he did it again, this time beating Connor Hellebuyck.
Let's move! He scores! He did it again!
From there, things just took off. Everyone was trying to hit a Michigan. Forsberg hit it against the Oilers that same season, doing it a little bit differently by scooping it up on his toe. Then, Trevor Zegras took the creativity to a next level. He flipped the puck over the net to his teammate Sonny Milano, who batted it out of the air. It wasn't a goal for Zegras, but it might have been the flashiest assist the NHL had ever seen. He followed it up with a couple of Michigans of his own, first against Montreal in January of 2022, then against Arizona that April. Then, a few months later, a former Michigan Wolverine in Kent Johnson pulled it off himself.
Look at that. There's the Michigan, Kent Johnson.
Then, on December 23rd, 2023, Connor Bedard, the most hyped rookie since McDavid, scored a Michigan for Chicago.
The rebound for Bedard down low. Bedard! Lacrosse-style scores!
Just a few hours later, Zegras dropped another one for Anaheim. It was the first time two players scored Michigans in the same day, a sign of just how far the move had come. And it didn't just stop with the NHL. On March 22nd, 2025, Abby Roque, a Michigan native, scored the first Michigan goal in PWHL history, doing it against Ottawa. And just like that, a move that started as something that you would ever only do in practice turned into one of hockey's coolest and most talked about plays, still growing and still changing the game. The move that Mike Legg made famous has inspired players at every single level, from college to the pros to women's leagues and international tournaments. That moment didn't only make a highlight reel, it changed how hockey would be played forever.